Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Jentri Quinn of Jentri Quinn Makeup and Skin as my guest. Today, we're going to be talking about her business, her journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, all the things, and what it's like to own and operate a business. So if this is your first time to the show, please like and subscribe so that you can get notification every time a show drops just like this one. Well, Jentri, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited because as I was saying before, we have known each other for such a long time, and it's mostly been around, what makeup looks good and fashion,
Hmm.
and now today it's all about business. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to say that in all transparency that we've known each other and
yes.
we have, in all transparency, this is our third attempt to do this show. And the reason we keep trying, rescheduling, and forgot recording is because people need to know your story and we are getting it out there. I've enjoyed watching your journey the last 5, 6, 7 years, I think, and what you do, and I think it's amazing. And so no matter what the obstacles, we're getting your story out there and I want people to know. So
Thank
here,
you.
yes,
There's a good theme. There's a tenacity. There's some type of theme in here
there's a
today.
tenacity here for
Yes.
sure. Yes. Gosh. Oh, the behind the scenes of making of a podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Well, share with our audience all the good things, your background, your story, and what your business is today.
Well, thank you for asking. My name is Jentri, and I have been in the beauty industry for over 25 years. I'm the founder of Jentri Quinn Makeup and Skin. I started out doing makeup for film, then freelance makeup, then
Mm.
transitioned into skincare. And right now we have an independent beauty brand located here in Austin, Texas, where we really like to focus on creating natural and organic beauty, emphasis on the skincare, um, and also incorporate it. What makes it different, I should say, is that we incorporate olive oil from our family farm in Italy. So
Mm.
that sets us apart as well. But I always like to say I help women over 40 restore their skin. I feel like I'm the person that women go to when they start to see changes in their skin,
Mm.
show up that they don't like, and I help them find easy solutions. And that is going to look different for everyone, right? So,
Hmm.
in some cases, people or women particularly may start to see these changes, and it could just be as simple as it's affecting their confidence, but that's a big deal whenever you are unhappy by whatever you're seeing, knowing that it can be changed. You can
Hmm.
improve the health of your skin. When you improve the health of your skin, it's going to affect the way that you look and feel. And I feel like no one should be shamed for caring about the
Yeah,
aesthetics of their skin. We're all happy to be older and
that's
wiser, and
true.
that's not taking anything away from anyone that
Right.
wants to care about the health of their skin. And then there's also, we're born with the genes that we have, and then we
Mm.
have the environment, things like that that will influence those genes, the lifestyle, etc. And we have things that are beyond our control. So
Yeah.
some women have to undergo treatments, right, for cancer. That's as an example. I'll get it out. And when that happens, it can sort of exacerbate the signs of
Mm.
premature aging, right? Which doesn't seem fair, right? So if we go out
It's
in
not fair.
it's not fair. If we go out in the sun unprotected, and we know we're doing that, then we deal with the consequences, right? We have some
Hmm.
hyperpigmentation, but sometimes there are circumstances that are beyond our control. And so I feel like that's where I like to come in. I like to help women restore their skin, and that's really going to be customized based on
Mm.
each individual person because we're
Yeah.
all bio individual.
Yeah. We were talking before we hit record that I got my eye cream last night that has coffee in it. And you talked about how it's natural and organic. And those for sure are buzzwords the last few years. But in my opinion, you were doing it before or on the, cutting edge of all of that. And I learned, earlier that you have an olive oil farm. Why is that important for skin?
Well, thank you for saying that because it has become this massive trend over the years, right?
Hmm.
And I'll be the first to say that the word natural is not regulated. So anyone can throw that word around and doesn't really mean anything. Also, as a licensed esthetician, I will tell you, I love using organic materials whenever I can, but organic and natural might not always be better depending on
Mm.
what it is that you're using, because some people are allergic to natural and organic
Wow.
ingredients just as much as they would be likely to have a reaction to something that's manufactured, something that's
Mm.
synthetic, right? That is
Hmm.
under the control of a chemist in a controlled environment that is tested uh,
It's
very,
true.
very well for sensitivities and things like that. So I want to put that out there as well. Whenever I'm going to take you back for a second, because whenever I was doing makeup, I was doing makeup for years. At some point, I realized that I didn't know anything about skincare. It is the most bizarre thing. I grew up with a beauty shop attached to our home. So been around the beauty industry my entire
Mm.
life. My mom was a cosmetologist for 50 plus years. So that was not new to me, but she was, it was doing the hair, it
Hmm.
wasn't skincare. And then I started doing makeup for film, and I just never had the opportunity, the awareness to learn about skincare. And so
Hmm.
when I started having skin issues of my own and then started doing makeup on a lot of brides to bees and things like that, women that were having challenges underneath the makeup, it made me it brought it to my awareness, I should
Hmm.
say, and made me want to look into how I could also take care of my skin. And when I
Hmm.
did that, this was, oh gosh, 20 years ago. I'm not sure. It's a really long time ago. When I started doing this, I realized at that time, and I'm going to age myself because I'm in my late 40s, at that time, Amazon sold books. Do you remember when
Yeah,
Amazon came
I
out?
do
Okay.
remember that.
Okay. For
Definitely.
the younger people watching, they're going to be like, what are you talking
What?
about?
That's
But
all it
for
was.
people our age and older, Amazon started off just selling books. And so there was not the education on the World Wide Web like there is today.
Mhm.
Everything's at your fingertips. In fact, I would
Mhm.
argue it's oversaturated with
For
information.
sure.
You don't even know what to believe. But at that point, there was not all the information online. So I literally bought How to Make Natural Cosmetics, a $20 book
Wow.
off of Amazon. And I went to our local store here. We have a place called the Herb Bar. It is awesome. It's been around for a bazillion years in Austin. It's one of my local favorite places. If you're in the Austin area, you should check it out.
Okay.
And I literally saved up $200 because at the time, I was like
Hmm.
$200 is a lot now, and it was probably more then. Okay, so I saved up
Yeah.
$200 of free money, meaning I could go and just spend it on what I wanted. And I went to the herb bar and I purchased, the best ingredients that I could find, and I literally taught myself how to make skincare in my kitchen. I
My
literally rolled up my
gosh.
sleeve and I was like, well, I don't have a double boiler and I can't afford a double boiler, so I'm going to do a makeshift one. And I, sanitized everything as much as I could. And that was my introduction to skincare,
Wow.
learning how to make lotions and lip balms and things like that. And running up to anybody who would listen and or about the what I made and try it on their skin.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
That is literally how I started. But as you can imagine, moving forward, making it in your kitchen, as a young adult, it
Hmm.
wasn't sustainable. I realized I had a
Hmm.
lot more to go as far as my education and things like that. And so eventually, after a very long search, because I just had very high standards of what I imagined, if I went to an aesthetic school, what that
Yeah.
would be, I finally found one when Aveda opened up their first location in Austin. It was massive, it was big, it was beautiful, it smelled amazing. I walked in and just had the vibe. I just was naturally drawn to, aromatherapy, all the sensory
Hmm.
experiences, the massage, the touch, just that personal touch, beyond the actual, treatment that you would give someone,
Yeah.
just how everything comes together to
Yeah.
create that experience. And so it was a Veda for me, and and that was many years ago now. But that's sort of how my natural skincare journey
Mhm.
started, was looking for ingredients that I could understand and realizing that I couldn't find them. And it was crazy because I would
Mm.
even go to the natural food stores. We all know what those are here, very limited. And I still wasn't finding what it was that I wanted. So I kind of
Yeah.
started off making it for me, but then I realized, oh, well, this doesn't really exist. And I think that this was so many years ago, resonated with people. And I didn't have the resources that I have today. So I
Mhm.
wasn't able to have such a wide reach at that time. But I think that is why the people that did gravitate to me that many years ago
Mhm.
gravitated towards me, was because we all
You're
had this.
rare.
It was a common denominator. It's something that
Mhm.
people wanted, but it just wasn't. It had not
Yeah.
arrived yet.
Yeah, and now you have arrived and
Thank
you're doing so well. And it just makes me wonder, when you look back at your journey as an entrepreneur and just really getting your brand out there, what have you found has been one of the biggest struggles to even get to where you are today?
Honestly, if it sounds a little cliche, but it's kind of one of those things where if someone had told you about all of the hardships,
Mm,
you it would it could possibly stop you in your tracks. It could possibly. I'm just saying, there's so many of them, and they vary and depend, based on what type of model you have, right? So whenever
hmm
we had the brick and mortar store for several years, there were certain things, certain issues, managing people. There were those types of things
hmm
that,
hmm
we were dealing with. And now pivoting after COVID and just being online, really focusing online, we have had multiple. I wish that weren't the case, and I
hmm
also think this is more common than not, but an important thing to bring up. We've had multiple occasions where our business has been hacked. So we
Mm,
had, in one instance, we had, we were at the highest point we've ever been in our business, as far as
mm.
like it growing. The growth was like 300%.
Oh,
We had
wow.
just come off of, I would say it's like our 15 minutes of fame. We had just come off of going to film a show. It was like a spinoff of, a
hmm
couple, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank and Bethany Frankel were hosting this show
Oh,
called
yeah.
Buddy
Yeah.
Court. And we were selected, which is very hard. Me having a film background, I know how hard it is to actually get chosen for these things.
Mm.
So when it happened, I was like, we were so grateful for it because it was a chance to have national exposure.
Right.
And so not only were we at the height of our, you know, business thus far, coming off of another high of having this additional
hmm
exposure, but we were met coming back from that trip very shortly thereafter, having our business hacked. And
That's
that might
awful.
and it, yeah, to say awful, it's an understatement. When we very first
Mm,
started, when our business first started taking off, we didn't have the momentum yet. We didn't have the same growth yet. We were sort of this
hmm
infancy stage with the new business model of being online. So it impacted us, but it didn't impact us as
mm,
much because we didn't have as much room to fall, if that makes sense,
mm.
right?
Yes,
You're
totally.
here
Yes.
and you're here. It's like, oh God, and you're crawling
Yeah.
back up. But then you're here, and then someone comes in from one day to the next, and takes away the primary way that we make our income, which is with ads, advertisement. My business partner is the one that does the digital ads. So from one day to the next, we were locked out of our accounts. We had no way to make revenue,
Mm.
and it was we didn't have a lot of support. It was with, because all of our stuff is through Meta, and I hope that it's improving. But a couple of years ago, when this happened, it was pretty awful. There's a huge lack of support, and it took
Mm.
us probably about 6 months to
Wow.
just recover our business. And then
Wow.
and then it's almost like, almost not quite, because we've had a business now for years. It's taken on different shapes and forms, but we have had
hmm
this business for years. Um, but so what am I trying to say? So
That's a big challenge. I mean, if you talk about a challenge in your journey, that's huge, where you almost had to rebuild.
That's what it felt like, because we did,
Yeah.
as sort of getting at, like, we did have this foundation, but
Hmm.
what we rely on as a business, you can't rely, and this is an important note too, you can't rely on the customers that you've already had. Those
Mm.
customers, when you're getting started, it's a little different, because whenever you're getting
Hmm.
started in business, if you have 10 customers, you need to be focusing on those 10 customers, right? So I don't want
Hmm.
this to be
Hmm.
misconstrued. But as time goes along, you rely on new orders. If
Hmm.
you're a
Yeah.
brand-based business, you have to have new orders every
Right.
single day. And so whenever that ad, whenever our digital marketing, those ads were taken away, again, from one day to the next, we lost all
Yeah.
of our income. And after 6 months, so we're not starting from zero, but we're definitely starting from a huge blow,
Yes.
huge negative space. And it took us, I'm like, Alex, how long did it take us? The time just sort of all blends together when you work for yourself.
We lost 80% of the income. We had 20% recurring revenue from the people coming back, but 80%
Wow.
income went away.
Can you hear him? 80% of the
You can
business,
repeat it.
80% of the income went away from one day to the next. That's the short end. And so it's taken us, another year and a half to inch our way back towards getting to
Mm.
where we were before. Because what people don't understand about ads, and Alex would be the person you would talk to about this, not me, but I understand the gist of it, is that when things start to get in motion, things can pick up momentum and the ads
Yeah.
start working, right? But once they stop, once they're gone, in that regard, you are starting over, because you have to
Yeah.
get that momentum back up again. And it's a lot of, there's a
Yes.
lot of intricacies that I am not qualified to speak to from that,
Hmm.
from that.
Zipping our accounts.
Alex should just have a
We should
chair
make
right
this a
here.
double.
I
Yeah, I was gonna say,
know,
bring
I
up the chair.
know.
Let's have
Maybe
a
you would
double
have,
podcast.
you
Two
would
guests. Let's do
definitely,
it.
it would have to be a 2 hour podcast for this. But yeah, so Meta kept disabling our ads.
Wow.
Important note for business owners. And I'm sure there's some business owners that are listening to this and just,
Well, it's a
God
note to
forbid.
even say, like, when you do things on social media, you don't own it. And that's a hard lesson that a lot of us have learned. And we hear about it more now. So hopefully, um, that doesn't happen as often. But I've heard these horror stories before, like yours, where, you know, it didn't help very much, or social media meta, if you will, didn't help. But, I want to kind of we heard Alex's voice.
Yes,
Your
the
business
Italian
partners is Italian.
screaming in the
So your
background. Yes.
so your business partners, what kind of structure do y'all have set up as far as co-ownership, investors, and all that kind of thing?
Totally. It is totally a 50-50 partnership. Even though I had Jentri Quinn Makeup and Skin before we got together, he had his brick-and-mortar stores before we got together and
Hmm.
merged our concepts. I couldn't do what I do without him. I'm very well aware,
Hmm.
very appreciative and grateful. And I have to say, he can't do what he's doing without me, because I'm the face of the brand. So I think it's a pretty good partnership. And he's got that wonderful computer analytic brain. I think his first major in college was computer sciences, right? Computer engineering. It was computer
Computer
engineering. So he went to school
engineering.
before he got into fashion. I know that's a whole other story, but
Yeah.
he just has that brain that I don't have. I'm the one that took 3 remedial math classes before I took my algebra class in college, and I'm like, numbers overwhelm me. So I am very much the creator of really everything, of every
Hmm.
product that we've ever put out, every, conceptually what everything, looks like, uh,
Hmm.
from that perspective, all the content that is created, written and video related,
Wow.
from doing all of that to editing from beginning to end. I am the creator
Yeah.
of all of this stuff. Sometimes people think that, I don't know, I've had someone ask before, like, does Alex edit your videos? I'm like, oh, no.
No.
Oh, God, no. No, 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 no. So he does everything on the back end, and I just do everything kind of like on the front end, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It
And
does.
I do think that we have our moments. No one's perfect. And running a business is hard for even if there were two perfect people on the planet, it would still be
Hmm.
come with its difficulties.
Right.
And neither one of us are perfect. But I think that we both have a mutual goal and we also have love and respect for one another. So at the end of the day, we
Hmm.
know the direction that we're going.
And a good product. So what is the vision, the long-term vision of Gentry Quinn Makeup and Skin? Where do you see this being 3 to 5 years, 10 years?
Mhm. Oh, it's a great question. I'm going to go for 3 years because
Okay.
I'm tired. I mean, this is a
I'm
long game,
tired.
okay? But it's like 5 to 10 years. No, but you're right. You're right onto something, and that is you really need to understand that this is a long game, and
Hmm.
some people may get into these mindsets of, and I think it's easier for people to get into these mindsets when they're younger and more impatient. And I'm not trying to lump all of younger people. There's so many bright and
Yeah.
insanely intelligent young people that we depend on. So it's not that,
Right.
but I'm just saying there are differences in the ages, right? And as we get a little bit older, we're going to understand
Hmm.
the importance of patience, which is something that I struggle with just like anyone else, but we
Hmm.
understand the importance of it, right? Whereas when I
Right.
was younger, it may have been more about like instant gratification. Well, running any type of business, particularly a small business, really is kind of like the turtle game. Yes, there are some things that you need to get with the program and not
Yeah.
overthink and get on it and make it happen really fast when it's something that's timely. But as far as the whole business goes, it really is a turtle game. So you really need to be in it for the long run.
The turtle
And
game.
like, what's the question? Oh, the 5 years, the 3 years. Okay, so in 3 years, what I would really like is we have different manufacturers, and every different product comes in different stages. If I had gone back these days, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but my brain is like going, doo-doo-doo-doo. These
Hmm.
days, there are so many people that have these things called white label
Mm.
products, right? Where
Hmm.
they get a product, about this in fashion because they do this with every single
Right.
plant. This just isn't skincare and makeup, but there's a lot of it in skincare and makeup. They get a brand and they just stick their name on it. But from day
Hmm.
one, I was so passionate about the types of products that I wanted to create that I put so much love and thought into each one. And so they all came
Hmm.
out at these different stages from these different manufacturers that I would work with and chemists. They just all came out in this very organic style, which made it lovely for having a brand that was curated in a way that I felt proud of. But it also makes
Hmm.
it a little difficult now when I have multiple manufacturers. And, gosh, it
Yeah.
would be so easy if one place did
Yes.
everything for us. So my goal,
Hmm.
our goal moving forward is to really sort of streamline everything and to
Yeah.
take all of the things and to have it, have one person be able to produce all of our products. And
Hmm.
in this interim period, also making things tight and right, as Bethany
Hmm.
Frankel said when we were there with her. She actually
Hmm.
gave us some great business advice. So in the 3 years, we'll be making things tight and right, meaning they have an expression in film called sometimes you have to kill your babies, and it sounds horrible, but you'll just be really attached to things that you write.
Hmm.
But in order for the whole vision to come to fruition and to
Yeah.
be successful, you have to kill your babies. I feel like that's what it's been like with some of the products that I've created, because I'm like, no, but that product's a great product. It's like, yeah, but that product isn't selling. That product's not
Mm.
selling. Every time you buy a new batch, we're just going to call it a batch of
Hmm.
your product, you have to spend a certain amount of money. No
Hmm.
manufacturer is going to let you buy five, you know what I
Right.
mean, of your product.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to buy a lot of it. And
Hmm.
so really focusing on making things tight and right, and then all sort of come from one place so that we can
Yeah.
do this turnkey operation with these, products that I've created. And that will afford us the freedom to move around, right?
Yeah.
Because we really have to have one place right now where we're at for operations here in Austin.
Hmm.
But moving forward, if someone else can do more of that, then I can focus on creating 90 something
Yeah.
percent of the time instead of having to wear so many hats. I
Mhm.
pivot multiple times a day, which is fine because I don't get bored, but like, okay, what shipments do we have today? What do I need to do? What products do we need to
Right.
order? What needs to get out? What are the priorities? Oh, and by the way, occasionally I will work with very selective brands that coincide with my
Mhm.
audience, the type of products that my audience likes. So I may be doing a job over here on the side that I take,
Yeah.
and I'm literally just, oh, the blog post needs to be written. Oh, the
Mm.
newsletter needs to go out. And so it's just, we do have a small but mighty team. And until you get over the hump of those growing pains, which they will always recur, right?
Mhm.
You'll get over a growing pain and then you'll have another one. And
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. But in 3 years, I'm hoping that everything can just be a little bit more oiled up to where
Right.
business owners can focus our attention on other things that will really help with scalability.
Mhm.
Because until
Yes.
you get over the hump, until you reach um, certain levels that I'm describing right now, you can't really scale, right?
Yep.
Because if someone comes to you and they want to, give you an opportunity to have thousands of I don't know, maybe thousands is a stretch, but in some cases it's not. In some cases you might need
Yeah.
thousands of products, right? Let's say you're going to be on QVC. As an example, you really have to have things oiled up in a way that can support that. And
Mhm.
you can't be putting a label on a product. You can't be sewing up stitches
Yeah.
at home on
Right.
some type of fabric or whatever you're selling, or shining up
Yes.
something. You can't be doing that stuff. It has to be more fluid. So I see that
Mhm.
happening sooner than 5 years for sure. And also taking people behind the scenes. I think it's just an important to me. I love being able to, I love the idea of making things, and I don't have the
Mhm.
opportunity to do it as much anymore with my hands, like the body scrubs and being part of
Mhm.
the body butter production. But I can take people behind the scenes and
Mhm.
be very hands-on with doing that in the future, taking them to Puglia, where the family farm is, where we have the
Mm.
olive oil, and being able to
Sign me up, please, for that.
yes,
If that's where you're
yes,
going,
sign me
I'll be
up
your
too.
first. Sign me up. I want to go. I'm sure a lot of other people do
Too.
too.
Me
I love
too.
that. I hear you talking about scaling, and I know that's important as a business. Like that's what we don't get into business to not be successful, right?
Right.
Even though the vision is so much more important. So when I think about, or when you think about the business scaling, what does that do? What kind of impact does that have on you and even Alex for as far as your life? Like you're wearing so many hats right now. So when you think of scaling, what would that mean to you personally?
Honestly, when I use that word freedom, freedom means something different to everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it would just literally be the freedom to do other things,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is, whether it truly is doing things that are more hands off that impact
Yeah.
the things that we care about, right? If I wanted to, like right now, volunteering for something would be like a dream. Like there's no,
Mm.
I can't even volunteer for myself right now. You know what I mean? For my animals right now. I'm just saying we have a pug rescuer at the house. It's a 24-hour
Oh.
daily operation. And so being able to do those types of things that we've always done as a tiny business, from when we very first started a
Mm-hmm.
decade ago, being able to do those on a broader scale, being able to connect with more people in
Mm-hmm.
person versus just being tied to one location where you can't really get out and
Mm-hmm.
about. Being able to just honestly just have the flexibility to be out in the sunshine and take a walk.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, but just having the freedom to do those things, more
Mm.
things for our mental health, I think that would be really
Yeah.
awesome. And also the unknown things. I could sit here and think of this and that, and there's all these variables that
Yeah.
lead to a place of, I'm not in control of everything. And that's pretty cool
Right.
because there are going to be opportunities that come to us in the future that are unknown to me at this time. But it will be cool to be available for it, because right now,
Yes.
even doing a 1 hour podcast, I have to think like really closely about my
Yeah.
schedule and how much time and this and that. But
Right.
having those things sort of be automated will just allow us the freedom to move and
Mm.
to shape our business in a way that we're not able to do right now, but we're just at a different phase. We're in a
Yeah.
different phase of our business. There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
But that is truly what that would mean.
That's beautiful. And I think we do take a lot of stuff for granted that when we get busy, like walking in the sunshine. But I even think about because of what you do, what would that look like for the women? How many more women could you meet or not meet? How many more women could you help by
Yeah,
this
I know.
being really successful?
It gives me chills to think about that, because you are completely right. My ability to connect personally, and even on
Mm,
a grander scale, whether it would be I'm just making up things, going to a convention and meeting people, or, I don't have ambitions for being a public speaker, but, I feel like if you've learned things and you have a lot of things to say, that could be an area where you
yeah.
help people as well. Um, whether it's writing,
Mm,
whatever it is that can reach people on a larger scale, I
yeah.
think that there's a lot of value in that. And the good part about it, social media, is that we can do that already. But again, to answer your question, doing it in person, being able to
Hmm.
have that freedom to do and make that personal connection, because you do in-person events all the
Yeah.
time. And we used to, when we had the brick and mortar, and you just can't, there's no replacement for that.
Yeah. There's no replacement.
There's no replacement for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
love it. Okay, I know they're all your babies, but if you could choose one or two products that were your favorite, that you're like, if you have to start here, someone's listening to this show and they're hearing of you for the first time and they want to start somewhere, what are the first two products? Is a must have, hands down.
oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to say this. I have to preface it by saying the Matte Beige Brow Highlighter. Okay. Me focusing on restorative skincare and our number one seller being the Matte Beige Brow Highlighter, it seems like there's a big disconnect here, but I feel like the people have spoken. Okay. And we did create it for more mature skin types. It was during COVID when I put out a video and it went viral.
Oh,
And
wow.
it pushed a lot of organic traffic to our
Hmm.
website, which was amazing. And we didn't
Cool.
talk about this, but you do need I wanted to mention this earlier about diversifying, like, because you were talking
Hmm.
about kind of like putting all of your eggs in one basket,
Oh,
right?
yes.
I
Uh-huh.
think diversifying is a really smart thing, because I've seen how that can aid your business in the past. I've seen how different platforms can aid your business. And this was one of those times when TikTok sent
Hmm.
this organic traffic. So meaning we didn't have to pay for those ads, right? It was
Right.
just all coming from this one video I
Don't you
posted.
love when that happens?
And and it doesn't happen enough. And it's definitely not an everyday occurrence. Anyone that says it is lying. And I mean, they are. It just, and sometimes things hit and you're just like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Hmm.
And the thing is, you don't have to get it. People have spoken. Matte Beige Brow Highlighter has really resonated with people. And when I think about it, I understand why,
Hmm.
because it is this one very easy, affordable tool that's unlike any other tools, right? Because we have a lot of different
Wow.
highlighter sticks that have shimmer and things like that in it. This
Hmm.
is matte. So you place it right underneath your brow bone. A lot of women
Yep.
have, the sagging eyes. I have the hooded
Hmm.
eyes. When I relax my eyes, you can see I have a lot of skin, especially for my age. And it will only get
Hmm.
worse as we age, because that's just natural. We lose collagen,
Hmm.
elastin, all those things. And so you got this $25 product, you place it right underneath your brow bone. It instantly gives you an eye lift. You place it, around the orbital bone area in the dark corners. You can use it to clean up your makeup here.
Mm.
And for all of those reasons and more, I think women just it was just an
They
easy,
went bonkers with it. Yeah.
it was a no brainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's $25. I'm going to try this. And then once they did try it, I use it every day. I don't want to not use it every day. So I get
Mhm.
it. I get it. Again, a little bit different than, than what you would think
Yeah.
would be the product that I would mention, but that sells every single day, all day, all day.
Wow. Wow.
And
And the,
so I would say if you're starting out, it's
uh-huh.
affordable, it's easy, it's created for women our age, and you just can't go wrong with it. You can even
Hmm.
use it around your lips to keep your lip color from bleeding. I know we use lip
Oh, wow.
liner, but sometimes it's not
Oh,
enough. Sometimes it's not enough.
yeah.
So I have people that use it over little spots, like they have a little spot, and if it
Oh,
matches
wow.
their skin tone, it's kind of has a stickiness to it. So when
Uh-huh.
I say stickiness, I don't mean like sticky like honey, but I mean like
Yeah.
a tackiness to
Yeah.
it that other
Hmm.
highlighters don't have. If your skin is a little dry, you can just warm it up on the back of your hand, and that way it'll glide on a bit smoother.
Love it.
And the beauty of that though is that one, it's not going to contribute to any eye issues you have. Sometimes
Hmm.
when you use certain colors with shimmer, it can actually make your eyes look more puffy and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And two, it stays on all day long. It's one of those products you put
Wow.
on, it stays. You don't have to keep reapplying it because it is a little tackier.
Yeah.
So just all the things. Matte Base Brow Hider, easy starter.
I think you just sold a lot of people.
And I mean, it's just true. And when you order it, I always give you an I Dream of Coffee. It's just the practical, next logical thing. I give you an I Dream of Coffee sample because that is our #2 bestseller. It would be the #1 skincare product. And the funny part about the I Dream of Coffee is that I feel like the greatest products are born in this type of way, right? It's like, oh, we see a
Mm.
need. There's something that we can't find for ourselves, which becomes
Hmm.
increasingly less and less as more and
Yeah.
more things are created, right? It's like, surely you can find this out there.
Yes.
But literally, I was sitting there during the beginning of COVID and I was thinking about eye creams because all my life, I've always suffered with dark circles. I mean, me and my friend,
Mm.
one of my very dear friends, she's a beauty editor for a popular magazine in Dallas. And now she's a fashion editor for another big brand. And she would always get the free stuff sent to her,
Hmm.
right? Because that
Wow.
beauty editors just get everything. And I
Yeah.
would be doing freelance makeup. She knew I like makeup. So when we would visit together, she would either let me try something or occasionally she would give me something because she just had so much stuff.
Wow.
And
Fun.
together it is fun, but together, because she always had the really dark circles too,
Hmm.
we literally tried everything on the
Mm.
planet. There's nothing in the last 25
Wow.
years that I haven't tried, but I still would have my dark circles. And so I was like, okay,
Hmm.
and then there's the vitamin K. I was like going through the things that I've tried.
Yeah.
And literally, I was like, what is the one thing? What is the one thing as a licensed esthetician? I just sort of took a deep brain dive and I came up with it's caffeine. Caffeine is the thing.
Mm.
And now, over the last 5 years, I've seen everybody's got a caffeine eye cream.
Wow.
But this was right before everybody had a caffeine eye cream.
I
I'm
think,
telling you, it's true.
yeah,
And I'm
that's what I'm
sitting
saying. You're on the cutting edge of it all.
I mean, if only I could monetize off this cutting edge thinking. But literally, I was like, okay, so it's caffeine. And, I wanted it to be a more natural formulation because I know the eye area is you have this delicate, thin tissue. So basically, the more ingredients you add into something, the
Hmm.
more risk factors there are as far as like sensitivities, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, if I can it's kind of like getting, this is you can tell I'm an animal lover. It's kind of like getting a limited ingredient dog food. If
Yeah.
your dog has a sensitive stomach, I mean, that's the only way I can think of it. And so I'm like, okay, well, if I can do a limited ingredient list, then people will be more likely to
Hmm.
tolerate it, right? And so that's what I went for. I did my research on certain butters that I would want that I thought would benefit the other issues that we have around the eye area, like the crepey skin, the
Hmm.
wrinkles, things like that are very common.
Hmm.
And I merged those two together with the caffeine. Coffee came to mind. Coffee has more caffeine than tea.
It
There's a lot of
smells
products.
great.
Thank you. And this is the
Smells so
thing,
good.
it's all natural, right? When I say natural, it
Hmm.
truly is. It's not like I put in any essential oils. It truly is the natural aroma. But once you apply it, you don't smell
Hmm.
like coffee all day. So
Yeah,
occasionally there's someone that doesn't even like coffee, but then when they use it, they realize
they know it's good.
it doesn't matter if I like coffee or not. It's going to
Yeah.
work. And look, there's nothing that is going to take the place of, surgery and things like that. And I
Yeah.
would never suggest that. Uh, but if you're looking for a natural alternative, I
Yeah.
believe as a licensed esthetician, there's nothing that really works better than caffeine.
Good.
So it's your best
Okay, so
bet.
everybody listening is either over 40 who's listening or knows
Yes.
someone who is. So
Yes.
go by and send a note. You heard this podcast.
Yes. Yes.
So everybody go
yes.
by it. Okay, let's have a little fun and do some rapid fire questions. I'm going to ask you some
Yes.
questions and you're just going to rattle it off and we're going to have some
Awesome.
fun. Okay, what is the key to success for you?
For me, it would be never giving up, but but there's a big but. Knowing, kind of like that song, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Like
Kenny
you
Rogers.
you never give up, but at the same time, you need to know when to pull back. You need to know when to quit something that's not working.
So good.
You know, I had a podcast and I'm actually going to pick it up. I've been meaning to pick it up for the last 2 weeks. And it's just because I found a way to record it to where it's not an extra thing for me to do that takes up more of my time. It'll just be integrated into all the other content.
Right.
But I did it for 2 years solid. And whenever I had someone in the business wellness space come in and analyze my business, that was one of the things. She's like, wow, Jentri, I don't know how you do all of this stuff in one day. You do this, this, and this, and this. Like, basically the message was, you have to kill a baby again.
Yeah.
You have to kill a baby. And I was like, love my podcast so much. It was so gut wrenching, but at the same time, I knew that it was true.
Yep.
And I, at that time, it was taking up too much of my time. I was, vetting for guests. I was like, writing these huge, you know how it is. I don't have to,
I get it. I totally get it.
When you're preparing to interview someone, it was like so much. I took it so seriously. And I feel like the podcast was, I'm biased, but it was great. And I had to trim the fat at that time. But now that I figured out a way to integrate it where it won't be causing me a lot of time.
A lot.
I don't know.
So never give up, but know when to trim the fat.
Know when to hold them and know when to fold.
Yeah, we're going to sing this song after this. This is going to be our outro music. It's the Kenny Rogers song. Yes. Okay, what is the one piece of advice you would give to other business owners? And maybe it's the same.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty loaded baked potato there that we have to think about, like what to tell. Well, okay, here's one thing I will say. If you can be persuaded from your dream, then it's not the right dream for you.
That is so good. I love that.
It's truly what I believe.
Okay, let's take a moment of silence for that one. Okay. All right. What's your book or podcast you're reading or listening to right now?
Oh, I do listen to so many good podcasts, but I'm going to give you a book because I know everybody's short on time. This is an easy read book. It's fun and it has a great message that is often overlooked whenever we get into the day-to-day grind of things. And I'm sorry if you can hear the mowers that are conveniently right outside of my window as I'm talking. Okay. It's called Obvious Atoms. It is the shortest, quickest, easiest read. And everybody needs to be reminded of this occasionally. So that's the one I'm going to give you.
I like it. Obvious Atoms.
Yes.
I like that. I feel like I've heard that before. Okay. Last fun question. If you had a little bit of magic dust and could sprinkle it on one area of your business, where would it be?
Oh, wow. I mean, honestly, it would just be to grow faster, but I'm just a little too smart to know that is a very sort of ignorant mindset, because it takes the time that it takes to grow and build your audience. Consistency, as they say, is key. They say it for a reason. But if I had the fairy dust or whatever it is that you said, it would just be to be able to grow that audience more. I think a lot of people, they sometimes do it in reverse. They think that they will come out with something and then they'll just throw it on a website or introduce it online, and they just have this, again, it's an ignorant mindset, right? You don't know what you don't know. I always say the more you glow. I mean, I've been so ignorant and I've learned, and so I'm just sharing. So yeah. So I think that, what was I saying?
The magic dust, grow
Thank
faster, be
you.
able to grow.
Yeah, the moral to the story is that I
Yeah.
know that that is definitely a sprinkle dust type of thing, but I know that you really need to focus on
Mhm.
audience and community building before
Mhm.
you have that product. That's sort of where I was going. People sort of do it in reverse, and they just
Mhm.
ignorantly think that they're going to throw out something and it's going to be great. And you can have the best product in the world, but if you don't have that community, if you don't
Yep.
have a presence online, if you don't have people that trust you, you're not going to have a way, a platform to
Yes.
sell it anymore. It is just the way that the world has evolved.
Right.
And you can be in denial about it if you want, but that's, and I think we're only
Good.
going more in that direction.
I
So
agree.
focus on your audience, focus on the people, get out of your head. Like, get out of your head. So
Yeah.
often people are scared to post things. I've been there. I've spoken an hour to, 3 people, and you do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
For almost an entire year, I did a minimum of a 1 hour live on TikTok to help build my community, and now it's
Mhm.
almost at 100,000. I would not have the time to
Wow.
do that now. When you have the, if
Yep.
you don't, someone said this and I can't remember who it said it, but they said, if you don't have the money, you better have the time, something to that
Mm.
effect. When I was
Mhm.
listening to, I think maybe to audiobook, and that was so resonating for me. So I was like, wow, that's right. If you are not
Yeah.
actually in a generation mode, when we were very starting out with this business model during COVID,
Mhm.
the revenue wasn't there yet. But what did I
Mm.
have? I had the time. You better
Yeah.
use that time. So was it exhausting at times to be able to every single day come up with a
Mm.
game plan of like what I'm going to teach today and make sure that it's
Wow.
valuable? Yes, but the money wasn't there yet.
Mm.
So now it's changed and I really don't have time to do those lives, but thank goodness that I did.
Yeah.
Took the
Yeah.
opportunity to
It
grow
got
it.
you here.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, I love that so much. And so this, I again just want to tell everybody to go shopping online.
Oh,
The
thank
favorite way to
you.
shop, as women are or love. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
But before we get to the last question of the day, share with everybody how they can actually find you, whether social media, website, all the good things.
Wherever you are, we meet you there. So gentryquinn.com is the website. If you want to go and just sort of be introduced to myself and my partner, how we got there, the products that we offer, the blogs that I create every single week. Those are, I think those are great educational
Mhm.
resource. And then on social media, I am on YouTube. So it's Jentri Quinn, I believe. And
Mhm.
Instagram is a little different. It's Jentri Quinn Makeup because somebody stole my handle years ago. And then
Mm.
TikTok is also Jentri Quinn, and Facebook is should be Jentri Quinn. If you type in Jentri
Awesome.
Quinn, wherever it is that you love to hang out, I promise you,
You got it.
we will be
It's
there.
there.
Yes, you'll find
Awesome.
us. Yes,
All right. Last question of the day. What
yes.
is most inspiring you today?
Always hitting with these big, deep questions, Heather. What is inspiring me today? Um, oh goodness. Hmm. What do we have something to do during the silence here while I'm thinking about it? I mean, there's definitely obvious things that inspire me, but I think because motivation, you have to be clear, motivation and inspiration are two totally different
Mhm.
things, right? You
Mhm.
can't always be motivated. Motivation is something you have to do, and then you eventually become
Yeah.
motivated by seeing the results of something. Whereas inspiration is kind of like, you know, I'm a film major, so movies, I love movies.
Mm.
Movies move me. They inspire
Mm.
me. A good movie like Rocky, right? So
Mhm.
so I do lean on things. I do lean on stories a lot because I think, I went to school for film and I
Yeah.
majored in screenwriting. And so I love a good story. And so I
Yeah.
do look for those stories from whether it's from other business owners, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
ourselves, like this is a podcast that I would personally like to listen to because I feel
Yeah.
like I learn so much from other
Yes, you do.
entrepreneurs. So, podcast, things like that. I'm not sure if that's the way you intended,
No,
but the
it's
question,
whatever inspires you. There's no wrong answer.
but I think it's just, people with good stories, and good stories don't have to be, I think that sort of a misnomer is that a good story has to be some sort of explosive thing. You know what I mean? Rags to
Mm-hmm.
riches in a year. And it's just not the case. I just really like what resonates with me is just hearing those hardships,
Yeah.
like what we talked about today, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing that other people have overcome those as well. And
Yes.
then they make you not feel so alone. Those are the types of stories that I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
I love it. I love it. Well, as always, I love talking to you. And I'm so glad our audience got to hear your story. It's a great conversation. And I know that you're going to be further along than you ever thought in 3 to 5 years. So anyway, I just want to encourage everyone that's
Thank
watching
you.
to save the show and come back and watch it, because Gentry really did have some great thoughts and her story's amazing. So just
Thank
come back
you.
and watch it again. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get a notification every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. And also, a special thank you to you, Gentry. I loved being with you today. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, until next time, we'll see y'all. Bye.
Bye.